Okay, describe a typical family dinner. Like, who cooked and what were your favorite foods?
I also want to add that my dad was in the service in the Army during the First World War.
Your dad was? World War One?
World War One.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he got out of the service. I think he was in there almost 8 years, and he got out in 1931 or 32.
Hmm.
What's the next question?
Typical family dinner. Who cooked?
My mother did all the cooking, and later on, my sister Thelma would help. But we had all homegrown vegetables and meat. Everything was. The only thing we had to buy was staple items like sugar, flour, salt, pepper, and so forth. Otherwise, we had everything was cooked on that wood stove, and they were delectable. She would make bread, make pies, cookies, you name it. She could make anything.
My favorite was on Sundays when we had homemade chicken noodle soup, and then of course chicken and mashed potatoes and gravy and vegetables. And my mother also baked, and we had desserts.
Dumplings.
Yeah, and dumplings was my favorite. But we ate watermelon with ours. Where your grandpa, they always had applesauce with theirs.
Applesauce and watermelon.
No, he didn't eat no watermelon. It's
Well, we had it.
applesauce.
We grew it right in the cornfields. My pumpkins and.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we had
What's the
fields and fields of watermelon. I get sick of that.
How's the world different today than when it was when you were a child?
The world today is much faster than it was when I was growing up. It was more laid back and kind of casual living because
So
it's
less
out in the
stress.
country.
Less stress if I need to get this, I need
There was
to
no
go
stress,
here, go here, go here.
very little stress back in those days on the farm. Except my parents might have had a lot of stress to make a living because it was tough to make a living back in those days.
Depression days?
Yeah, during the Depression. I was born in 1932 during the Depression. And that's, the whole stock market fell, and so there was no currency around. It was hard they did more bartering between, like trade the chicken for flour or sugar or something like that there. They would trade meat or vegetables for other items, fencing equipment and anything like that. So there was hardly any currency, any dollar around.
Did anybody in your family lose any money due to the Depression?
My great-grandfather Rothwell lost his whole farm machinery business,
Is that Joseph?
which he was a multi-millionaire at that time. His name was Joseph Rothwell. But he lost it all during that 1932 stock market crash, during the Depression, and had to start all back over again. But his name, was it John that's on the courthouse?
I don't remember.
One of my great-grandfather's name is on the courthouse and picture in Ortonville, Minnesota.
So yeah, that's probably
He was a judge also there.
What was the question again, Corey?
How is the world different today than when it was like when you were a child?
I do think there's a lot more stress nowadays than there was when we were younger. But I also think the younger generation, I don't know, you can say they got it easier, but they have plenty of help where they're...
Manually and physically, that's what
Yeah, they want more, and they want to, than we did when we were younger.
they want more, they're more materialistic, I would say.
They want, yeah. Where when we were little, like for Christmas, when we were little, I got a doll and an outfit, and that was our Christmas gift. Where nowadays, I mean, I think the kids would be shocked if that's all they got.
No.
Which is wrong, but that's life.
I know. How about, I don't know if you can answer this, but any recipes that have been passed down from your family members?
Yeah, she
Any-
could say
any-
that. My mother passed down a lot of recipes.
To you?
Not to me, but
Okay. Yeah, any
Yeah, to
recipes? Were there any recipes that were passed down from
Oh.
your family members?
cookbook.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I learned all my cooking actually is from my mom and mother-in-law. I mean, I didn't cook when I was home, but I knew stuff that she made, but they actually both cooked kind of, I could say, kind of alike.
Mother-in-law?
Yeah, we kind of were raised eating the same way.
Mm.
But, yeah, a lot of baking and a lot of homemade foods, things from scratch.
Homemade foods from scratch. Okay.
And that's another thing, my favorite hobby is cooking.
Oh. Okay, I'll write it down. Of all the things you learn from your parents, what do you feel is the most valuable?
Treasure for what you have.
What do you feel you have?
Or be thankful for what you have, either way.
Okay. I'm writing it here.
Exactly.
For what you have, and what about you too?
I put it on here too.
Yep. What's the most valuable thing that you learned from your parents?
Most valuable thing I learned from my parents was to know how to save money and to work hard. I worked very long hours when I was a kid. I'd get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning and work till 9 o'clock at night. But those are valuable lessons to learn because it gave you a outlook of what to do in the future years as I was growing up
To help you make a living, pretty much.
to make a living.
Okay, now we're going to move into a different section about your marriage. Be kind of interesting. Whoops. When and how did you meet your spouse, or how did you meet each other? And what did you do on dates? Or should I even bother?
Where did we met? We met in Yakima.
This way. There we go.
Okay, we met in Yakima. Actually, where I used to work at. And dates. Didn't go much on dates. Went to movies. I think dancing a little bit, not much. Mostly came over. This was good. I thought we
Anything to add to
I
that?
can't remember. That's 50
I met my
years ago.
wife over a cup of coffee in Stockman's Cafe in Yakima, Washington.
Cup of coffee, you said?
Yeah, and met her in March, and we were married almost 6 weeks later during Easter.
We met in 17th
Yeah.
of March.
17th of March? Wow, that's kind of 6 weeks earlier. Now it's like people wait, like they live with each other. Like,
Ain't seen each other only on weekends.
why? Well,
So our courtship was not very long.
No, it's hard to talk about like this.
what was your funniest experience on a date?
On a date,
On a date, when you went on a date, what was the funniest experience you can remember?
I can think of all that one. I'm not going
Uh-huh.
to put it on here.
Why not? It's for all the generations to know.
Oh, Lordy, Lord. Don't get me laughing. Okay. That's it.
I declined to answer that question because it might incriminate me.
Come on, you can get one.
Ah.
Okay, fine. I'll move on to the next one. What was it like when you proposed, or when you got proposed to, or where and when did it happen, and how did you feel?
Did I even? Huh? Answer that. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I was at home, and he came to me with the ring, and gave me what engagement ring, and then
Where'd I get the ring from?
you bought it in the PX.
Oh, in Moses Lake, Washington.
Yeah, Moses Lake,
During my
Washington.
Air Force days.
Yeah, and then we got married by the Judge of Peace shortly after that. Matter of fact, I don't know what to call it, a waiver or something, because he was getting ready to get shipped overseas.
Oh yeah. What?
So it's just my mom and dad and stepdad and sister and her husband that was at the wedding.
And then how did you feel, like when he proposed to you? It's like,
51 years ago, I can't remember.
She was very joyful. and she figured this was her last chance.
Oh, you know.
Oh my. Okay. How
And we also, after I was on orders to ship overseas, so we drove to Wisconsin by automobile. That was our honeymoon prior to going overseas. So we never had a very formal honeymoon.
Well, yeah, because also travel back then wasn't like.
So our honeymoon
in the
was
car.
meeting again over in France when she came over by TWA Airlines, and that's where Cody's father was born.
I thought it was in Germany. So you kind of
He was born in Landstuhl, Germany. That's another Air Force base, but we resided.
France.
We lived in France, Fallsburg, France, while I was in the Air Force over
So then you
the
traveled
seas.
down to Germany for a little bit, and then you had your baby. Then you
Well, that's where we had to go to have the baby.
Oh,
It was
okay.
military hospital.
had. Okay. How were you attracted to each other?
His leather jacket.
You want me to write that? I gotta write that down. You still have that?
Hell no.
I don't know what happened to it.
Oh God, I don't know. After 52 years, God only knows.
That'd be a valuable.
I don't even have my Air Force uniforms either. Yeah, I can't believe them disappeared.
You can just do it. Oh, but it might be even Minnesota then. When you guys lived. What about you?
Well, I was attracted by her personality, looks, and she only weighed 98 pounds when we got married.
How much does Roxanne weigh?
Big change now.
That's no Roxanne. She's just not even
95.
pushing 90.
95.
No, she's about 89, 90.
No, 95.
So was your family tiny?
My
Yeah.
dad's
Is
side.
that- Is
My
that
dad's side, yeah.
is that how the Rothwells got their kind of shortness? Should I say?
No, Rob, she's a Rothwell.
Well, I know, but
Rothwells were, Rothwell side was tall. The Hoke side was small.
oh,
On
the
my
Hope
side.
side was small. So then was the Mosier
It's-
small?
No, it was the walls that were
The
small.
walls are
The
small.
Mosiers were big women, kind of big women.
Okay.
Not fat, but
Yeah,
pretty
like
big
yeah.
women.
Okay.
Fucking lot of numbers go on there.
I'm gonna skip that question.
Cody, where did you get these questions from?
Internet.
Oh my.
Okay. How would you describe your spouse, and what do you most admire about them?
Still. He's considerate, and he thinks about the kids and his grandkids, and he's just a considerate person. Thoughtfulness.
Okay.
He does have a little short fuse.
Nothing. Got that in.
What was the question again?
It was, how would you describe your spouse, and what do you most admire about them?
Well, I think she's actually got an attitude problem.
So you did hear
But
about
I
it.
don't. For I admire her generosity and her caring. She's very, very concerned about things.